Every single day, I'm sent MRIs from people all over the world struggling with lower back pain, asking me what they should do based on their imaging diagnosis. So today, I'm going to break down the exact exercises you should do based on what your MRI or X-ray says. My name is Dr. Grant Elliott, founder of RehabFix. We've helped thousands with low back pain, disc herniations, and sciatica fully recover through our one-on-one online coaching program. And in this episode, we're going to determine proper rehab programs based on your MRI results. The first one we're going to discuss is one that is actually brought up a lot, that has a ton of misunderstanding, and this is spondylolisthesis. Spondylolisthesis is essentially an anterior slippage of the vertebra, meaning one of your vertebrae is slipping forward compared to the others. Now, there's various degrees of this. I'm not going to get into the different degrees, but the main premise is, hey, one of my vertebrae is slipping forward. What should I do? Now, what the textbooks say is do not do extension. Extension will make that worse, and that instead, you should focus on flexion-based movements like knees to chest, and then core stability movements to stabilize that segment. However, if you have sciatica, meaning any type of radiation down the leg or numbness and tingling in the foot or toes, or if you have flexion intolerant like symptoms, meaning the longer you sit, the worse your lower back feels. Bending forward increases your pain. Bending forward to put socks and shoes on in the morning increases your pain. Then likely you should not be doing flexion movements and you should be doing extension instead because your symptoms correlate with that presentation. Either way, having spondylolisthesis on an image alone does not mean that's what is causing your pain, because there is a decent prevalence of asymptomatic individuals, meaning people without any pain, that have spondylolisthesis on imaging. It is not automatically a problem. It does not have a direct association with pain. Now, the next really common finding people send to us is actually progression of this, known as a pars defect. A pars defect is when there is a break in what's called the pars interarticularis, which kind of helps keep the vertebra in place and can accelerate a spondylolisthesis, or sometimes there isn't slippage, but either way, this is usually called a fracture of your spine. Some people get imaging and they'll be told your back is broken, and this can be very scary language when, once again, in reality, there's actually a ton of people with a pars defect that have absolutely no pain. It was there since birth or from adolescence. It's never caused a problem. It will never cause a problem, but then you have back pain from something else. You get an image and now you're told, oh my gosh, you broke your back. This is not appropriate management. But based on the textbook, if you have this, once again, you want to avoid extension. You want to do core and spine stability based movements. However, yet again, if you have flexion tolerant symptoms, if you have sciatica, often we actually see extension based movements to be a very helpful direction to go initially for this presentation, regardless of if you have a pars defect or not. Of course, always monitoring symptoms and response throughout this. The next one is degenerative disc disease. Oh my gosh, we get messages every day. I have degenerative disc disease. What should I do? And the biggest issue with this is that you usually don't need to do anything. It's a common age-related finding. So I don't know who decided to call it a disease. Obviously some doctor that didn't follow evidence that wanted to profit off of scaring you into thinking you have a disease for getting older, but I'm here to tell you what to do if you have that on imaging. So what you should do is just general loading movements. You need to do strength-based movements. We need to get your bones stronger, your muscles stronger, improve stability, and promote more movement throughout your day, which is going to promote more synovial fluid and just fluid movement in general throughout your spine and throughout your discs and joints. Now, the one thing I want you to walk away with is that this is not a disease. There's no statistically significant association between the finding of degenerative disc disease and pain. It's no different than getting wrinkles on your forehead, which I'm getting, and then gray hairs on your head, which I don't have yet. Hey, real quick, I know you're struggling with pain and obviously want to fix it. So if you just text me the word pain to 317-751-9509, I will send you my free back pain fix demo. Just text that number and you can fix your pain. Thank me later. Back to the show. Next one is stenosis. We'll commonly get a message that will say, hey, I just found out I have stenosis. What do I need to do? Stenosis, there's typically two main types, central canal stenosis and foraminal stenosis. Central canal is the canal that your spinal cord goes through. In foraminal stenosis, the foramen are these little holes in the side of your spine that the nerves pass through. Typically in either presentation, this usually means there's an increased amount of bony growth in these canals or openings that are going to encroach on your spinal cord or on your nerve. Now that sounds really scary in theory. And usually if you extend your spine, you go into extension, it narrows these areas even further. So if you've been told you have stenosis, you should avoid extension because it can make you worse. However, yet again, based on the evidence, there's no statistically significant association between the finding of stenosis and pain. And we should first assess the overall symptoms of the individual, because sometimes, even though on paper extension should be avoided with stenosis individuals, and this usually affects those 65 years or older, by the way, sometimes extension can actually help. So that should be tested first to see, is the response good or bad to this? If it's good, keep doing it. If it's bad, then we want to go to a standard stenosis protocol that involves a lot more core bracing movements, flexion-based movements, bare spine loading position movements that are in a more of a flexed position, focusing on intra-abdominal pressure. These are the types of movements the individual would want to focus on. Next one is disc bulge or herniation. Hey, I just got my MRI. I have a 6mm disc bulge or herniation. What should I do? Well, first off, it depends. There's 3 most common types of disc herniations. If you have a classic posterior bulge, you're going to want to do extension-based movements because usually bending forward increases that pressure. Going backwards kind of shoves it back in, reduces that pressure and kind of work the disc material back. If you have a more lateral disc bulge, your presentation might look like this. You might be shifted to the side, maybe not. But if it's more of a lateral bulge, you want to focus on movements in the lateral plane. This would look like side glides or hip shifts, or maybe a combination of side glides and extension-based work. And then if it's an anterior disc bulge, very, very rare, then we want to apply the same logic. We want to do flexion-based movements to, once again, put pressure on the disc to work it back in, to promote ideal motion in the disc to remove that obstruction. But you must understand that 50% of individuals alive without pain will have a disc bulge on image findings. So this doesn't mean that you should immediately figure out, okay, which bulge is it? That means I should do this exercise. I have to keep doing this exercise until the disc bulge gone and off the image. That is not true. The disc bulge could have been there your whole life. It might be there for the rest of your life. It might be causing pain. It might not be causing pain. We don't want to make 100% of the decision of what we do based on the image finding. Now, there is something I need to come clean about. I've kind of been lying to you guys. Now, hold up. I haven't been lying to you about the advice that I've provided so far, but I have been lying to you about kind of the premise of this video. The fact that you can just be told a diagnosis and there can be a simple step-by-step plan of what you should execute based on the diagnosis. That's not true. I've kind of been doing a combination of that to kind of play into this concept, but this is really a big issue where we will get messages every single day of people just throwing their MRIs to us saying, this is my MRI finding, this is my X-ray finding, what should I do, what should I do? And if you've been paying attention to the videos so far, you've noticed that I've said, hey, textbook says this, but if your presentation is this, or if your presentation is this, or if your presentation is this, that's what matters. Your presentation, the context of your situation. A picture does not give us the full story. A picture does not tell you what exercises to do. A picture does not tell you what the plan should be. A picture just tells you what a picture can show. It just shows a finding. You cannot give someone a proper plan based on imaging alone, but you can give someone a proper plan based on movement and symptoms alone. That is what matters the most. So you do not want to find yourself obsessed about the diagnosis, obsessed about getting imaging. And in fact, premature imaging and unnecessary imaging can cause harm. It can make your situation worse because of all these reasons I'm describing. If you take it to the wrong provider, you'll be told to do the wrong exercises because they will not pay attention to your symptoms or your movement. If you become absorbed with the diagnosis and form that as part of your identity and become fearful, you will get worse. Your prognosis will get worse because mindset is so important to recovery. So there are very rare circumstances where there will be a finding on the MRI or X-ray that will completely change the treatment plan. But majority of the time, that is not the case. We want to understand what you say. We want to understand your symptoms, your movement, how you respond to various movements, and actually have a relationship, not just look at your picture. So if you've received care like this, if this is kind of familiar to what you've experienced, then you're lost and you don't have a plan. You've been taken down the wrong path. But you still might be thinking, well, what do I do then? How do I get out of pain? How do I resolve this completely and get back to feeling bulletproof again, to get back to my life and avoid the drugs, avoid the surgery? Well, that's why you need a plan, and I have something for you. Just text me the word pain to 317-751-9509 and you can get a tailored step-by-step plan to permanently fix your back or sciatica issues following our centralization process. And this process has helped our clients on average achieve 37% reduction in their symptoms in a single visit, and others complete relief of their pain in as little as 15 days. And has helped over 2,000 people get back to full exercise within 3 to 6 months with a long-term plan. This way you don't have to guess on your own. We can properly guide you and give you a roadmap to success so you can finally get this pain over with. And after you text me, please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, follow me on Instagram at RehabFix for more free daily videos and insights into my life and what I'm doing for myself and our clients to get pain-free and stay bulletproof. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one, and I'll see some of you in our program real soon.